My life be like, yeah. My life be like, yeah. Yeah. My life be like, yeah. My life be like times like these that make you say, yeah. Lord, if you see me, please come my way.
From Baton Rouge, Louisiana, please welcome Peter Mata.
My life be like times like these that make you say, yeah. Lord, if you see me, please come my way. Like leaving breadcrumbs or when I stray, yeah. I don't sacrifice in the price you pay. Like living like a fingertip. Sometimes I fall, I slip. Yeah, more feelings I need, more like you. Try not to put the fire with the things I do. Like times like these that make you say, yeah. Lord, if you see me, please come my way. Like leaving breadcrumbs or when I stray, yeah. I don't sacrifice in the price you pay. Like living like a fingertip. Sometimes I fall, I slip. Yeah, more feelings I need, more like you.
All right, welcome everyone. Welcome in to another installment of the Anaks Podcast. We're back. I hope you all didn't forget about us because we're back. And another juicy topic. I mean, we're always talking about juicy topics, but our last podcast was March Madness and the fun of the making the brackets, and you were there watching us make our picks, see how all that unfolded. But we're sticking to basketball, but we're moving up. We're moving up here to the NBA playoffs and a recap of the NBA season. It's been a fun ride this year in NBA. You know, no longer the bubble anymore. That was last season. We're on to new things. It's a full NBA season that we're going to discuss. I'm joined by, as always, Anaks Peter. Peter, what's good? How you doing? How you feeling?
Thank you for that, Anaks Ryan. I'm good. All is well. I'm doing good. Excited to talk about basketball. I know this year, I think we talked about this a little earlier. I don't know. The interest for it wasn't quite there this year, but I mean, I still kept up as much as I could. But a lot of that, for me is definitely the Pelicans struggling on my end. There's so much potential, but just couldn't get it done this year. But still a lot of exciting stuff going on. I think what you said was like there was no bubble this year, but there was some remnants of COVID with the lack of fans and everything. And I think that also contributed to the lacking interest in it. Just, you miss that buzz around the game when, the Brooklyn Nets had an amazing play the other day. And, if it was a full crowd, I mean, they would have just gone bananas for it. But I mean, it's like half full or a quarter full. So just not quite getting that, but still a lot of great play and a lot of good stuff to talk about. So excited about this podcast and getting another Anaks podcast in. It's been a minute.
Yes, sir. I lost track of how many we've done, but to all the viewers out there, again, we appreciate it. I know Peter working hard behind the scenes as always to produce all of these videos for everyone. We appreciate everyone's support, all the family support. The MMPs, the music match plays have been going bananas as well, because that's a fun little series we got going too. Mm-hmm. I unfortunately was not able to be a part of the last one, but Monica, shout out Monica, you did a fine job in covering for me. And yeah, so we're happy to have this back. As Peter just mentioned, though, basketball is not 100% back as far as fans are concerned, and I definitely have to agree that fans definitely make a big portion of the energy and all that is to the NBA, and not taking anything away from the quality of play, though. The quality of play has still been at the best that we've ever seen to this point. So nothing taking away from all those stars still shining on the basketball court. But it just seems like a little bit is still missing. Just a little bitty bit is still missing. And me and Peter, we've discussed this prior to hopping onto this podcast. But yeah, usually we're basketball connoisseurs, NBA connoisseurs. We could tell you every little stat, every little detail. But this year has been a little different. So again, please don't, critique us if we don't get a stat right or if we've missed a certain point. But we're still sports fans. We're still fans of these players. So we're just having a good time. We're going to have a fun time on this podcast. Just a little overview of what we're going to be discussing. We're going to be talking about, the recap, but you guys love the AYUNNN moments. So we'll give you 3 of them in our top 3 AYUNNN moments. It's been a while since we've gave some AYUNNN basketball moments. So
That's true.
we'll bring it back. And then we'll follow that up by just going over some awards and the favorites to win some of those awards. Last year we went a whole rundown. We'll be a little bit more, to the T with things. We'll shorten things down as some people have recommended us do. But hey, it's our podcast, right, Peter? It's the Anaks Podcast, so we do what we want. And lastly, we'll do the bracket breakdown, NBA bracket breakdown. So hope you guys stay tuned to the whole shindig. All right, stay tuned for the whole thing. But I'm sure Peter, as always, will give you guys some bookmarks if you guys want to skip ahead. But don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't skip ahead. Look at those chapters. You can see what's coming up. Yeah. But I mean, watch the whole thing in succinct motion. You don't
just
need
watch it. I mean, if there's maybe a period that you don't, or a part that you're not really interested in, go grab yourself a nice little fix-in. Go grab yourself a meal, do a couple push-ups while you wait, and enjoy. But don't skip. Don't do it to us. Don't do it to us. We work hard on this. But without further ado, Peter, welcome back. We're here.
Yeah, let's do it. You want to get right into the AYUNNN moments?
We'll dive in, deep end style. AYUNNN moments. So again, for those of you who don't know, you better know by now. But for those of you who are first watching us, AYUNNN moments, amazing moments. AYUNNN. Come here, take a look.
There.
This just happened right there. Just watch it, absorb it, acknowledge it, appreciate it. AYUNNN moments. We're going to start off with our 3rd favorite AYUNNN moment of the season and work our way down to our favorite AYUNNN moment. Peter, I'll let you do the honors. What's your number 3 AYUNNN moment of this basketball season?
Number 3. There was a lot of great AYUNNN moments this year. My number 3 is Luka Doncic.
Oh no!
Hitting a little floater 3 against Memphis. They were down 2. I think it was 1.8 seconds or something like that, and catch the ball from the inbounds player, and he kind of splits 2 defenders and just jacks up a 3 and splatter right into the net. And it made me say, AYUNNN.
AYUNNN. Oh my gosh. Peter, that was a great AYUNNN moment. Mm-hmm. It's also my 3rd one. I mean, it does not lie. All right. And we did not plan this accordingly, but great minds think alike. Mm-hmm. And I'll admit I had 2 different AYUNNN moments as my 3rd AYUNNN moment.
Did you have the other game winner?
I had, yes. So we've been spoiled. We've been spoiled by Luka Doncic and these game winners, these beautiful game winners. Peter, you illustrated that so well. Inbound pass. I mean, 1.8 seconds left. I think that's what I put down. They had 1.8 seconds left against the Grizzlies. And what's significant about it is they were down 2. And so this isn't just, tie game, here's house money. If it goes in, sweet game winner. If it doesn't, oh, well, OT. No, it's different. This is the actual game on the line, down 2. I mean, his just knowledge and an awareness of it being a 3 too. I mean, it's just his 1 foot barely, makes it over that. And he just, I mean, for those of you who have played basketball with me, I've never seen a floater I don't like. And with Luka, I mean, that's Luka in a nutshell.
Floater.
Beautiful shot. Again, Peter, beautiful shot, game winner. I'll have to acknowledge his other game winner against Boston. He sunk that, but it wasn't actually like a buzzer beater because there was, I think, 0.1 left on the clock. But this was against Boston, and Jaylen Brown tied the game with 9 seconds left. So it's tie game. Luka, they had no timeout, so this is just all flowing organically. Luka just, as always, just so casual with it, so natural with it, just brings the ball down the court and does his patent, side shuffle, step back, whatever you want to call it, to the left side, just chucks it up. I mean, this is all pure net, pure nylon. We're spoiled. We're really getting spoiled by Luka because the game winners in itself are already enough to cement a catalog of just amazing game winners of all time. And it's got to be a AYUNNN moment, no matter what. So, Luka Doncic. I mean, what more can you say? Speechless. Number 3.
I
So
did.
that
I
was-
had I had
Yeah.
that. I had the Celtics one too on my
Oh my
list.
We should just call it a Luka moment because that's what
Yeah.
it is. I
That's
mean, just
true.
top 3 Luka moments because it's amazing. But Peter, was that your number 2 or
No, I had that number 3. I had the Celtics one as number
Okay.
3 as well with it. I just
Okay,
didn't
with
say
it.
Yeah.
This is incredible. This is like literally like I had both number 3 and come on now.
Yeah.
If this isn't chemistry, I mean,
Yeah.
Walter White and Jesse Pinkman at its finest right now.
Thinking ahead. Watch our podcast on Breaking Bad, by the way.
Oh yes.
But yeah, man, that was our number 3. Luka just freaking cementing his status as a clutch player, very much like Damian Lillard. So, gosh, looking forward to seeing more of that. I'll get into my number 2, which is Charlotte Hornets.
Oh no. Oh no. Hey, don't steal it from me now.
It's I
Oh,
put down LaMelo and Miles Bridges connection, but
Okay.
it's really more Miles Bridges absolutely
Oh my goodness.
baptizing folks out there.
Yes.
Goodness me. He submerges them in full water. Head.
Oh my
Oh, God, dude.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so there's a number of them, but one I'm specifically talking about is the one against the Atlanta Hawks on Mr. Clint Capella. Oh,
God
and
rest
then-
his soul.
Yeah.
God rest his soul. My goodness.
and then shout out also to the Hornets announcer, guy's named Eric Collins, just Gus Johnson out there,
Yes.
cementing his own status as an announcer.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I'm very mad at you, Peter. And I'm not mad at you, but I'm mad at your decision of putting that number 2 because I was so hyped. I was like, this is my number 1. And all right, spoiler alert, this is my number 1. All right. Bridges was my number 1. But I'm just like, not only Bridges,
Mhm.
but Mr. Collins himself.
Oh yes.
Like this man, I mean, I don't know what he does pre-game and during the game. Like he must chug a Red Bull and shotgun it, actually. Not even chug, just shotgun a Red Bull every Hornets offensive possession. Like right when they get a rebound, he's probably chugging a Red Bull. Like, all right, let me get juiced up for this play. And I think that play in itself and his commentary of that play is the perfect encapsulation of how it's been watching the Charlotte Hornets this year. Shout out LaMelo Ball. Shout out Chino Hills. I'll always do that. But this play in specific, it's got to go to Miles Bridges. And when he dunked it, and I even quoted it here, all right? This is just, I mean, this is poetic. And in the voice of Eric Collins, I can never do it justice, but he said, hum diddly dee, a thunderbolt from Bridges, the filthiest of filthy.
Bridges! Oh my God! What? Diddly-dee! A thunderbolt from Bridges! Oh my word! The filthiest of the filthy!
I mean, you can put that against any Shakespearean quote, and it's going to go head to head with it. I mean, my goodness, he thought of that on the fly. I mean, I don't know what the Hornets are giving this man, but this man need to be 2K's announcer. And, 2K, they always have, the cast of, or the trio of cast, they usually have, I don't know who it is now. It's like, I don't know if it's Harlan or whoever it is. Screw all of them. Just put Collins and Collins alone. I know Del Curry is the analyst announcer because they usually have a play-by-play announcer and the analyst announcer. But I mean, come on, Peter. Eric Collins, I mean, he just gets you up. And it could be a layup, a finger roll layup, or it could be a monster dunk as we saw with Bridges, and he'll get you equally excited for both. Oh my goodness. I'm getting hyped just thinking about it. Oh my God.
Miles Bridges.
Bridges. Like I kid you not, I've watched a full 15-minute video of YouTube of just him commentating Hornets games just for my pleasure alone, just for the entertainment of myself, and just seeing. I mean, we're in the podcast game, so we're trying to always work on our vocabulary, our verbiage, and with him it's just nothing's fake about it. Like you just feel it so organic.
Mm.
And it's no Splenda. This is like legit sweet sugar.
It's the moment, just like
yeah. Oh my gosh. And I'm excited to hear your number one now, Peter, because if there was something to top all of that, it had to be AYUNNN, capital A, capital Y, capital U, capital N. But let me. Sorry, I didn't say
jump
my
into your number two.
yeah, sorry. Let me just briefly talk about it. We've gone a little bit too far about the Bridges, Eric Collins, AYUNNN moment, but I'll be very brief with this one because there's not really much to explanation to do about it. But it's just if you've seen it, and I'm pretty sure everyone's seen it. That's all you need to really know about it. It's Anthony Edwards, the number one pick out of Georgia. He just, for a lack of a better term, and he just posterized Yuta Watanabe. I mean, and a lot of people are going to be like, who? And exactly right, who? But at the same time, just watch the dunk, and I'll let pictures do the explanation. Peter, I hope you have the footage.
Yeah, I'll put it in.
Put it in just because my words, I mean, they're just words, as we always say. But my goodness, he got up for this one. And this is, everyone looks for that signature moment, you know, especially from a first round, first pick type of player. It's either, are you a bust or not? That dunk alone may just already put him, like, he'll never be a bust just because of that dunk.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Always be, you know, not a bust because of that. So that's just
he absolutely abused them. And our fellow Asian player out there.
Don't have too many of them, but when we do, they get baptized.
Goodness me. Yeah. It was like I know Anthony Edwards probably likes, I think he said he likes football better than basketball. That was like, he basically tackled him when he dunked it.
Yeah. He did his best impression of both. And yeah, about Anthony Edwards, he's the most nonchalant, uninspiring basketball player that I've ever seen. But at the same time, he's gifted with athleticism out of the roof. So that's someone that's going to be very interesting player to watch because, you know, the passion and his mentality isn't always focused, you know, basketball driven. But I mean, he's got the potential to go, you know,
he's got all the tools if he really wanted it. Yeah. So we'll see. It's interesting. I mean, he averaged great this year, but definitely that moment is a AYUNNN moment. If I've ever
get out of your seat, AYUNNN, where am I?
So I guess we'll move to number one. We all know you're number one, Mr. Eric Collins, calling Mr. Miles Bridges.
Oh my goodness. I mean,
filthy.
Super Phil, but we want to know yours, Peter. What tops that?
I know we probably hyped the Bridges one so much, so this one's going to be underwhelming. But I picked the Brooklyn Nets Golden State-esque play that we just saw. What was that? That was only about 10 days ago, I think.
Recent memory.
Yeah. So basically, the play is I think they got a steal. It was Blake Griffin got a steal, and they did like a behind the back pass and just like tossed it in the air. And Kyrie caught it midcourt. He dribbled it. He passed it to Mike James. Mike James throws it on the backboard, and Kevin Durant slams it in. It just reminds me of when Golden State was playing beautiful basketball. And gosh, that's what basketball is all about right there. Teamwork, beautiful play, just all inspiring, and definitely makes you want to say AYUNNN.
I can't hate on that. I can't hate on that AYUNNN moment because, I mean, seeing that play happen organically and everything, I mean, all the pieces are just forming together. That's basketball. And it did remind me a lot of Golden State. Although Golden State probably, instead of dunking it, they would probably had someone on the 3-point line. And instead of taking that dunk, they would have kicked it out to like Steph or Clay. And they would have wet balled a three.
An alley-oop three or something.
Alley-oop three or something of that nature. But yeah, that's basketball. And I think to your point, Peter, with not having fans, you have fans there. And I mean, Brooklyn is just electric, you know, with that. And that's something that we do miss, certainly dearly, with not having fans. But that's a beautiful play, and that's a team play. And basketball, at the end of the day, is a team sport. And we talked about, you know, for my number two, it was Anthony Edwards, you know, great individual play. But where's Minnesota right now? They're fishing. they're in Cancun. Where's Miles Bridges right now? They're golfing, they're hitting it off the tee. So those are great individual plays and plays that definitely make our AYUNNN moments. But I mean, it's nice that you put a great team play, a collective team play in as your number one, Peter. That was a fun play to watch. But Brooklyn, I don't want to talk too highly about them because of what we're going to get into later in this podcast. Mm-hmm. But they're a good team. They got something brewing. They have some stars in there. I think one or two of them, or maybe three, or maybe four, or maybe five. I lost track. I've never been good at mathematics. You were the accounting and finance and analytics major, so
they found a way to just sign everyone in the world, basically.
Everyone. And you got Steve Nash. I mean, at the head coaching job. So who else? Who else do you need? But AYUNNN moments. Fun AYUNNN moments. I love discussing them with you, Peter. Sometimes our AYUNNN moments correlate, as some of them did right now. But I mean, it's just fun to talk about these really, really distinguishable plays that happened throughout the course. And that was over the course of the year. I'm sure we've missed a ton of them, a ton of phenomenal plays. But those are the ones that I think stick out to me and Peter the most throughout this.
Yeah, it was tough to narrow it down. I mean, honestly, I watched the top 50 plays on YouTube last night just to make sure I didn't miss anything. So I can't think of any honorable mentions at the top of my head, but that's because there's so many. I mean, every night you're going to see an AYUNNN moment. Mm-hmm. So y'all stay tuned. Stay tuned for another AYUNNN segment moment of the playoffs because we've already seen a lot of them. We've already seen a lot. Oh yes. Yes.
But yeah, that's good stuff. AYUNNN moments. We'll segue now into the awards segment. So a lot to discuss. I know, Peter, you've drafted out a beautiful outline so we can stay really, really consistent with it. I'll let you start us off and kind of talk us through the awards portion.
Yeah, sure. So basically, just so we can kind of breeze through this, I'll just go ahead and go to each category, each award, and then name the finalists and say the betting favorite. And then I'll just pretty much turn to you, Ryan, and we'll go back and forth on terms of whether you agree with that betting favorite or not. And then a little reasoning and comments. Yeah. So starting first with the Rookie of the Year award. So the finalists in that one is LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, and Tyrese Halliburton. And the favorite is Mr. LaMelo Ball at -2,000. Forgot what exactly source I have there, but he's the favorite. Pretty overwhelming favorite. I don't know. It's closer. It's closer than the other ones, but it's pretty overwhelming. So Ryan, do you agree? Is he going to be the Rookie of the Year?
Without a doubt, without a stutter, without a second opinion, without a second guess, absolutely yes. No bias because I am born and raised in Chino Hills, California. But I mean, there's no other candidate that deserves it more than LaMelo Ball. His addition to the Charlotte, I was about to say Bobcats, but Hornets. I mean, it's been night and day. Now they're prime time. I'll put them in any prime time television spot any of the week. And I know it's going to get views just due to the fact that he has that intensity. He brings that flavor, that creativity. And they're such a young team in itself. So yes, they made the play-in game. Unfortunately, did not make it out of the play-in game. So they're sitting at home now. But I think what he has brought to the table the first year that he's been in Charlotte, MJ is just, oh my gosh, he is feeling good about that pick. I'll speak in regards to Anthony Edwards, who had a pretty okay year. But I mean, Timberwolves, your record speaks for itself. That's all I can say about that. And I can't really say that you're, that passionate about basketball, as we alluded to earlier in the podcast, because this isn't even basketball related, but you can tell this man don't really care about sports in general because he didn't even know who Alex Rodriguez was. Because Alex Rodriguez just purchased the Timberwolves to be owner, and Anthony Edwards had a strange comment saying, who is that? Like, I don't even know who that is, which is pretty strange, right? I would say
Alex Rodriguez is a pretty known baseball player.
Well known, yeah. I mean, aside from the fact that he was dating or was married to, I'm not sure, Jennifer Lopez,
right, for a long time.
Other than that, I mean, just as a sports fan, everyone really knows who A-Rod is. I mean, he's as household of a name as you can possibly get. So that in itself is a little bit concerning. And then Tyrese Halliburton, I got to see him live. I watched him live. And for those of you, Peter,
Go on.
I went to the Warriors game. The second game they allowed fans in the arena at Chase Center in San Francisco. The first game they allowed people in the upper section. So I was, up top, up tippity top. I could touch the ceiling with my hand. But it was a fun experience. I'll probably get to that experience a little bit later in the podcast, but specifically about Tyrese Halliburton, he was phenomenal. And I actually would put him second on this list, right behind LaMelo Ball, just because of how confident he plays. And just, I mean, he's primetime ready. He's NBA ready. So he deserves to be on this list, but no one else deserves to win it other than LaMelo Ball. His stats speak for itself. And when you watch him play, you're just like, this is someone who's going to be good for a very long time. Peter, any disagreements, agreements, comments?
I completely agree with you. I definitely agree that he's a favorite and he probably should win it. He set the tone for Charlotte. Like you were about to say, they were about to call them the Charlotte Bobcats. I'm sure MJ would have taken that personally and coming out of retirement. If he said that, of course, he's a huge fan of the show. So
he watches regularly. I mean, he's even got us. What is it called? Favorite? What is it called, Peter? On YouTube when you subscribe? You get the notifications. You get the notifications right away. You click the bell and you get notifications as soon as we post. Michael Jordan. And it's strange because he's only one of 5. So who's the other 4? We don't know, but he definitely reached out. So he's a big fan of the show.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out MJ. Thanks for doing that.
Thank you for your unwavered support.
But yeah, he set the tone. He put Charlotte on the map. I mean, he's fun to watch. He got injured there for a while, but then, still, I mean, he makes you pay attention to the Charlotte Hornets, which is saying something compared to, other players that they have drafted. And certainly these other players that are on the list. I mean, Anthony Edwards, you just mentioned, he's got all the athleticism and talent in the world to do it, but the passion isn't quite there yet, but still give him credit. I think he averaged like 19 points. So, I mean, that's still doing something regardless if it is garbage points on a bad Minnesota team. So, excited to see whatever happens to him. And just to speak on Tyrese Halliburton, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. People keep saying like the perfect role player or just NBA ready and everything like that. I guess that kind of reminds me of like Malcolm Brogdon, who won the award. What was that, a couple of years ago?
Good comp. Very good comp.
That they're just steady. They for whatever reason they have this composure as a rookie to be able to do it. So he definitely belongs on this list. Probably not. He was third on the favorites. But I think that's just because of name recognition. So I think most casual fans would know the top 2, I guess, because Anthony Edwards, number 1 pick, LaMelo Ball. We've been watching him grow up since Ball.
My goodness, it's really like Sports Center. I mean, if you follow their Instagram, I mean, LaMelo Ball can just eat a Big Mac and it'll be on Sports. Like he could do anything, and everyone on Sports Center is just absolutely having a hard on, and it's just like relax. And I know that happened with Zion during his Duke days.
True.
Again, sorry to mention a Pelican right now, but
Zion did play well this year, so
he did.
He wasn't the problem.
He wasn't the problem, and I'm sure you're gonna have a nice little section in this podcast where you just express, and I want to hear your opinion on how your guys' performance was throughout the year. But yeah, LaMelo Ball's prime time. He's prime time.
Yeah,
he's got that Magic Johnson flair that you just got to stop and stare. I'm not a poet, but definitely visualizing that and looking at it from when he started playing basketball. I mean, I can recollect when he was at Chino Hills still shooting from the hips, and he was, nailing 3-pointers from like 40 feet. Like it was just a layup. Seeing his game transition to where it is now, it's just very, very exciting to see, because it's just like the potential is going to be I mean, no one's going to cap his potential for sure.
Yeah.
As
MJ said, the ceiling is the roof for him.
The ceiling is the roof, and the ceiling is no one knows how high it is. Not even the finest architect in the world can tell you the dimensions of that ceiling. So we're ready for the next award.
Yes.
And it's the Sixth Man of the Year award, Peter. And sixth mans, I mean, shout out to all the sixth mans out there. You know, you don't start, but you're the first to come off the bench. Shout out Nika, Sixth Man of the Year for the music match play. Sixth Woman of the Year. I mean, so it's a very, very important award and a very, very key position, because most of the time, Sixth Man of the Year, you're giving it to a team that's a playoff contender.
True.
You know, you're never given to give a Sixth Man of the Year to the bottom feeder of the East, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's why I think this award is very significant, at the same time very humbling, because these players are so good. They could probably be a starting player on any other team, you know, but they're willing to be that sixth man. Peter, I want to know your opinions on where Vegas has them favored and your opinions on who you think is going to win. We have Jordan Clarkson, Anak Jordan Clarkson, I should say. Kuya Clarkson, I should say, minus 182. We have Joe Ingles at plus 145. So teammates just neck and neck right there.
Sixth and seventh, man.
6 and 7, if you will. And a former MVP in Derrick Rose at plus 10,000. So a little bit of a long shot for good old MVP Derrick Rose. But Peter, any thoughts on this or any comments?
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing you haven't watched it. The TNT, I just saw it on Instagram yesterday. Jordan Clarkson, Kuya Clarkson, ended up taking it, and he was the favorite. And I do agree that Kuya Clarkson deserves it. We could see it. I'm sure you could attest to this more than I can, but watching him with the Lakers, you could see it then. The scoring ability, the talent was there. I'm actually really glad that, because, you know, he got traded to Cleveland, and, you know, he struggled in the finals, and he was kind of the butt of the joke for a lot of people. And for him to kind of come back and show him that, you know, you do have talent, and you do have, you know, possibly kind of a Jamal Crawford type of career ahead of you, or Lou Williams ahead of you. So, you know, he definitely deserves it. Kuya Clarkson. I mean, I'll speak to Joe Ingles. Dude's been steady as a rock. Always crafty. 6'8", 6'9" dude from the land down under.
Down under, mate.
Yeah. So Joe Ingles definitely deserves to be on the list. You probably should win it one of these times, just almost as a lifetime achievement. So shout out to him. Derrick Rose, again, also almost like a lifetime achievement. I mean, his comeback in his career, going from MVP to really falling off the face of the earth because of injury, to coming back and being a productive player on a team that's in the playoffs. So, yeah, just shout out to him. But Kuya Clarkson, my hats are off to you, sir.
Take the cap off, Peter. Take the cap off and just pay your respects, because Jordan Clarkson has had pretty much an amazing career so far for what was expected out of him. I want to say he was a second round draft pick too. So if you add a little bit more seasoning to that, I mean, that's excellent. I mean, for what he's done, for what's expected out of him out of the get-go. Jordan Clarkson, Joe Ingles. I mean, Joe Ingles is a great player. I mean, he's always one of those players that you would love to have on your team. He's not the flashiest player by any stretch of the imagination, but I mean, he just makes plays. He's IQ efficient as you can possibly be. Derrick Rose, I mean, it's tough. It's tough to put him in this category, because for the longest time, it's either Derrick Rose was the best player in the league or he was injury riddled. So to have him in the sixth man role, it feels a little bit strange. It feels a little bit awkward, if you will. And I think Vegas thinks so too, with the plus 10,000 odds on that one. But he's had a great year with New York. So I'll just leave it at that. But between Joe Ingles and Jordan Clarkson, I mean, Utah, they got the number 1 seed. So definitely it's attributed by the bench play. And with Jordan Clarkson, I mean, just seeing all these young Lakers that we had at one point, you know, from the 2014 to 2017 range, and seeing them all flourish and advance their games, it's very bittersweet. but I'm so happy for them. And Jordan Clarkson deserves this award, as he got, as you mentioned. They awarded this award to him. He's officially got it, and he's deservingly got it.
Yeah.
He's someone, and I think you made the perfect comparison right now. He's going to have a Lou Williams / Jamal Crawford style of role throughout his career. He's always going to give you that 15 to 18 points off the bench.
Combo guard.
Yeah, just combo guard. I mean, defensively, not much. You know what I mean, he's not going to give you any Tony Allen style defensive schemes, Tony Battier type of defensive schemes, but he's going to give you that energy off the bench. And when you find that right fit, that's exactly what you need. And I think, I mean, I hate to bring my Lakers up right now because it's kind of off moot right now, off topic, but I mean, him right now on our team, that's someone we need right now, someone we're lacking right now. It's just some offensive firepower when LeBron and AD take a seat. But yeah, enough about Lakers. Jordan Clarkson deservingly getting this award. Utah Jazz, somewhere that I never thought I'd see him in, because he was the Kuzma before Kuzma came,
right.
You know,
kind of
he
cool
was
cat.
the bogey boy, you know, he seemed like Hollywood was always meant for him. Unfortunately, we casted him away to Cleveland, but he's found his role, and I give him a round of applause because he has done phenomenal with the cards that was dealt.
Yes.
Jordan Clarkson is your sixth man of the year of 2021. Man, that feels good to say. It just feels good to say.
Really feels right. Yeah. So
all right, we'll move towards the boringest category of them all.
We can go through it like that. I mean,
yeah, the Gobert player. I'm sorry, not Gobert player of the year. The defensive player of the year. Peter, what are your thoughts? We got Rudy. I mean, as big of a favorite as you can possibly get.
Yeah. So the finalists are Rudy Gobert, Draymond Green, Ben Simmons is in it. So a couple usual suspects and Ben Simmons. We know Draymond Green and probably Ben Simmons is on this list because of the defensive versatility. They can guard multiple positions. Great guys that athletically they can do it all on the defensive end. But Rudy Gobert, I mean, this is like a shoe-in pretty much. He's going to definitely be a finalist each year so long as he's healthy. I mean, the Stifle Tower, I mean, clogs up the lane so much. I mean, it's hard to get past a 7'2" guy with the 7'9" wingspan. I mean, and they're doing good. So, and it's also his impact is, leads to a lot of wins. So his defensive win share, I think, is like 5 or 6, which is awesome. So he's got the numbers, he's got everything going for him, and, name recognition, I guess, if you're into that for defensive player of the year. So, I mean, this one's, as you said, the boringest one to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough because defensive player of the year, I mean, as the old saying is always, defense wins championships. So you would assume, someone of the caliber of winning this award so many times would have already won a championship by now, right?
True.
But, I mean, what more can you say? Rudy Gobert, when he's on the floor, impactful defender for sure. But I think defensive player of the year, for me, it's just kind of like, the award that's just there, and it doesn't have much significance to it anymore to me. I mean, I can't tell you how many times he's won this award, but it seems like he's there every year.
I think it's going to be, if he wins it, 3 out of 4 years, I think.
3 out of 4 years. And with Ben Simmons is a great defender, but I guarantee you Ben Simmons gives a hoot or a damn if he wins this award. He's looking for another trophy to put in his collection. And then with Draymond Green, I think he's won this award, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he has.
He has. So, and he's a good defender, especially on Anthony Davis. I think ESPN had a stat the other day, and it was like Draymond Green has defended Anthony Davis the most possessions and Anthony Davis has been in the league, and it showed like his field goal percentage, all that. And I'm just like, I'm thinking to myself, like, who's sitting there jotting down who's guarding Anthony Davis every possession? Like, I'm just like,
who's collecting the data on that?
Yeah. Where's the data coming from that? Because I have to question it. But regardless of that, Draymond Green, someone we have to always acknowledge as a great defender, because he's always taking on the responsibility of guarding their best wing player, whether it's LeBron, whether it's, AD in this case, or KD when he was on the Oklahoma City Thunder. But I mean, it's just the Gobert Player of the Year award. I think they should just call it
for now, like it was the Ben Wallace Player of the Year award back in the day.
Ben Wallace back in the day. I mean, it's just, you mentioned his wingspan. I mean, 7'9" wingspan. Good luck. What
are you gonna do with that? Yeah,
I know. The only person that I can say that has been proven otherwise is Mr. John Morant, but we'll get to that while we get to the brackets, because he had quite a showing in that game 1. But yeah, defensive player of the year. I mean, that's it. That's all we really have to say about it.
Yeah. So that's the DPOY. We'll move to the MIP, that being the most improved player of the year. I think this one is going to be a good one to talk about, because the favorite for it. So let's get to the finalists first. The finalists are Julius Randle, Michael Porter Jr., and Jeremy Grant. And the favorite is Julius Randle at minus 10,000. So overwhelming favorite. Michael Porter Jr. and Jeremy Grant are plus 5,000. And this one is just, I just take a great sense of pride for Julius Randle. I'm proud of him because he only spent 1 year in the Pelicans, but I just had a feeling this guy was capable of taking it to that next level, which he has this season, and being a star player and the number one scoring threat for a team. I was, as a Pelicans fan, because that was during the year that Anthony Davis wanted out and everything like that. So Julius Randle was playing a lot that year. Yeah. I was resigned to the fact that we're going to just re-sign Julius Randle and we're just going to build around him. And I was thinking, he's kind of got a more athletic Zach Randle type. All we need is kind of our Marc Gasol and try to build from there. And then we got Zion Williamson, and that kind of changed things. I mean, I guess not for the better just yet, but I mean, obviously I'm very grateful to have Zion. But Julius Randle is, he's got all the package you want in a big man. A guy can, handle the ball. He can shoot it decently, but most importantly, he can post up and score at will. And just proud of him that he's proving me right, that you can build around him and a successful playoff team can come out of it. So he should win this. I definitely agree that he's a favorite. So Ryan, I know he spent more time with the Lakers than the Pelicans. Thoughts on this?
He did. And again, as I alluded to earlier, similar verbiage that I have about Jordan Clarkson is going to transfer to Julius Randle. I'm just so proud of them, man. Just seeing them come to the league as a Laker, and at the time of absolute desperation when we had them and we were expecting the most with this young core, and just, them moving on from the Lakers and finding their own niche in, for instance, Julius, he started playing well in the Pelicans. You saw a lot of that improvement, but then coming to the Knicks, and he's just pretty much taken that to the next level. He is an all-star on the verge of being a superstar. We'll have to wait and see maybe a couple more years, and this playoff push that they're making, first one that the Knicks are making since Melo since Melo was there. So I'm just really, really happy that Julius Randle is a very, very penciled in favorite for this most improved player. And to think now that we have Jordan Clarkson, who just won the Sixth Man of the Year award. We have Julius Randle, who's about to win the most improved player award. And we had Brandon Ingram last year to win the award. Yeah. I mean, it's just those three former Lakers. I mean, it's very bittersweet isn't the right word, but it's probably the word that I can probably connotate closest to, just because I'm so happy for them. But at the same time, I'm always thinking, what if they stuck together in the purple and gold, and what would have happened? So Julius Randle deserves this award. As for Michael Porter Jr. and Jeremy Grant, those two players are going to be players that are going to be all-stars in the future for sure. I pencil it in, put it on the board. They're going to be all-stars at least one point in their career. With Michael Porter, he's always had that allure to him. Everyone thought that he would be what Jason Tatum is right now. Yeah. So we've hadn't really had that full exposure to him yet, injury prone. to start us off. But Jeremy Grant kind of came out of just absolute nowhere,
Mm-hmm.
hole in the wall. He was with the Nuggets last year. And he's someone now that is kind of having an opportunity to showcase his talent with a bad team. So it may be stat stuffing on a bad team, or it may be just actual talent. We'll have to wait and see. But I have firm belief that Jeremy Grant's going to be a good player for a long time in the NBA. But no one deserves this award this year more than Julius Randle, former Laker, former Pelican.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree with Julius Randle. Interesting. I think Michael Porter Jr. has got the talent to definitely, and he's putting up the numbers. And we talked about him in previous NBA podcasts for sure about if he's going to make that leap, and Nuggets need him to make that leap. So, and he has to an extent. So that's cool to see. I don't know about Jeremy Grant becoming an all-star, but he's an athletic guy and he's improved his shooting and polished up his game. Not going to go there.
Okay, that's fine.
He's a good board. Good on him for
your Mata section. But on my board, you can lightly expo marker it in. Not Sharpie, but So Pistons. I mean, they're just kind of they're the Sacramento Kings of the East, if you will. Just who knows what they're doing?
Yeah.
No one does, and they always have decent players coming in their system, but most of the time they leave the system as well. So they're not lifers, if you will. But yeah, that was a fun list. Most improved player. It's always good to see the players that reach this list, because you've known that they've made some tremendous bounds and leaps towards, making their career stat filled.
So that was most improved player of the year. Fun to talk about that. Let's move on to the Coach of the Year award. And the finalists there are former Pelicans coach Monty Williams he's a favorite at -176. Second favorite, Tom Thibodeau at +200. And he's actually tied with Quinn Snyder at +200. So Anak, thoughts on this? Do you agree that Monty Williams is the favorite and should win?
Did you say it was Monty Williams, or did you say it was Chris Paul? Because I'm getting a little confused here. Monty Williams, someone that you're very familiar with, as he was a former coach of your hometown team. But for me, I mean, all three of the people on this list aren't exciting. They're not someone that if I was an owner of a franchise, I'm like jumping head over heels for this player, just throwing my credit card at them and saying, any salary you want, you got. And I mean, I'm not jumpy about it. I'm not jumpy. Monty Williams, yes. I mean, the Phoenix Suns, they got the 2 seed. They're in the playoffs for the first time since Steve Nash played there with the run and gun D'Antoni system. But Monty Williams, for me, it's not him that's doing it. It's not him. It's Chris Paul. And Chris Paul is obviously not a candidate of Coach of the Year because he's a player, but I think his impact is the reason why Phoenix is there, as opposed to Monty Williams' impact.
Okay.
Again, not taking so much away from him, but I don't think he should be Coach of the Year candidate. And as far as Tom Thibodeau, someone who has a lot on his resume, a lot. He's been through so many different organizations. He's done well at many organizations. I honestly think he's done a fine job with the Knicks this year. Actually, to be honest, the Knicks job is such a hard job to have. I think, who was it who had that job?
David Fizdale,
Derek Fisher. I mean, many players with the caliber that you expect to produce hasn't produced. So I think Tom Thibodeau, for him being there, and he's with some familiar players. I mean, he's with Derrick Rose, reunited with Derrick Rose. But I mean, that's such a young cast of players. I mean, you got Julius Randle, who's still relatively young. I mean, he's kind of like in that middle space where in a few years he's probably going to be a vet now. I mean, I think he came to the league in 2014.
He's in his prime, pretty much.
He's in his prime right now, but at the same time, I mean, the cast surrounding him are players that you really wouldn't pick to make the playoffs or even be a threat in the playoffs. But I think how the Knicks have looked this year, I mean, definitely has impressed me. And I think that's a lot attributed to Tom Thibodeau. I've always liked him as a coach, a little defensive minded, if you will, kind of differentiating from how the NBA is now. But I think he's deserving to be on this list. And with Quinn Snyder, I mean, Jazz are kind of that well-oiled machine right now. The last few years, they'll be really solid, but they haven't taken that next step just yet. And whether it's this year or not, Quinn Snyder seems to be having all of the players on Utah ready every game. They always play tough. But yeah, for me, if I was making the decision, I'm picking Tom Thibodeau.
Okay.
I think that's the toughest place to be a coach in, because the crowd and the fans are cutthroat as can be in the Big Apple. So he's done way far past his expectation.
Gotcha. Okay. I can feel that. Tom Thibodeau is solid. Not the sexiest, because I guess he focuses on defense. Who does that?
Yeah, what is defense, right? What is that defensive player of the year?
But yeah, I can't hate on that. Tom Thibodeau is a solid coach. I'll go ahead and say I agree with the favorite. That, I mean, people are going to definitely pull for Monty to pull this one out. And I would probably give it to him, just sentimental things. I think I like him as a person. I always have. He wanted to win here in New Orleans, but just couldn't get it. And didn't have the wherewithal then. And some fans now in New Orleans are like begging for him back. But I mean, I still remember, people talking about, oh, we're playing Monty ball again. We're just not getting the most out of our talent. We're misfit. And some of that's due to his coaching, but I think also looking back, it was the fit of the players and everything. But he was always just a decent coach, guy with high character. And to your point, yes, Chris Paul is the one driving that ship, but it seems their partnership does seem to pay off, because they did have a year together in New Orleans and it was successful. So whatever it is, they have a good partnership. I think Chris Paul, I wish the Pelicans would have got him this year. He would have been perfect, but that's neither here nor there. But he is just an absolute leader of men on the court. And he's definitely driving that ship, probably a little bit more than Monty is, but people will definitely pull for Monty because of his high class and character. And obviously, people know the tragedy of his wife passing and everything, and the way he handled that, so classy and everything like that. So it's not surprising that people want him to win it, and I'll go ahead and be in that pool that wants him to win it.
Yeah.
Word on Quinn Snyder. I think I think you're underselling him a little bit. I think he's got Rick Carlisle genes in him.
Good old Ricky, huh?
Yeah, I think he's a very good coach. They always say Utah's kind of got a system and everything, like all the way back with Jerry Sloan and everything. But I mean, you still have to put it together. I mean, the draft, you still have to draft the players, you still have to put them together, and they've been consistent.
They have
in his time there, and it's good that he at least gets the recognition. I don't know if he necessarily should win this one, but there's no reason why he shouldn't be on this list. I think he's top 10 coach in the league.
Yeah,
I said it.
Top 10. That's solid. That's solid.
Mm-hmm.
No. Yeah. No, I agree. Top 10 is about a fair assessment. That's fair. Top 10. But like, if you're owner, let's say, of a team,
and you had these three guys,
the Baton Rouge Tigers. All right. I'll just leave it. I'll keep it as generic as can be, without copyright. Right. And you're the new NBA franchise. You get to pick one coach to be your starting coach or your head coach. Who's that coach?
Out of these three or the whole NBA?
No, out of everyone in the NBA. Who is it?
In the NBA? I like Eric Spoelstra. I mean, maybe that's biased because he's half Filipino, but he's young enough to relate to players. He communicates well, and I think he's got a good mindset with the drawing up plays and everything, the technical aspect, I guess, because of his background and being a video coordinator. So I always like Eric Spoelstra. I think he's underrated. But who would you pick?
I'm glad you brought him up, because that's exactly who I would have picked too. He's someone that, I mean, his resume is built for someone that I would want leading a basketball team. He's gained that respect not by his name, but by his pedigree, by his actions, what he's done. the amount of work he's put in as a video coordinator, working his way up to that head coaching spot. And if I want someone who Pat Riley believes in, and Pat Riley year in and year out believes in Eric Spoelstra. So
Yeah.
that's as much as of a stamp of approval that I can get. But yeah, out of the three on this list, yeah, for me, Tom Thibodeau, for you, Monty Williams.
I'll go ahead and throw my
It
name.
can go either way.
Yeah.
It can go either way. It really can. And yeah, we'll just have to wait and see, Peter. We'll have to wait and see.
We'll see. We should. No, I'm not going to put a bet on it.
No bet on this one. I'm not too hunted on it. I'm not a butt on it. But we'll move finally to the most, I would say, coveted award that the NBA regular season has to offer, and that's most valuable player. For the last 2 years, we've had Mr. Giannis Antetokounmpo win the most valuable player award, to the point where it was seemingly like it was going to be a broken record once more again. But I think this year there's been many candidates kind of filled into that favorite position throughout the course of this whole NBA year. At times we had LeBron. At times we had Jokic. At times we had Stephen Curry. At times we've had Joel Embiid. It's kind of been a little carousel throughout the year. But now, as things are kind of to take full shape here, Nikola Jokic is by far a favorite right now that Vegas has, minus 10,000.
Oh, yes.
Second to, or I should say second odds-wise, is Joel Embiid at plus 2,000 and Stephen Curry at plus 2,500. Peter, I want to know your thoughts on this. Jokic, does he deserve to be that far of a favorite in this award?
This one was the toughest to decide because I do like Nikola Jokic. Anyone that has played basketball with me knows that I play that style game, crafty.
That's the Peter Mata style. That's that. I mean, it's not necessarily the most sexiest way of playing basketball, but at the end of the day, the ball goes in the hoop, the ball goes to the right man. I mean, you do all the right things. It's not like the acrobatic, sexy athleticism that pulls
crafty.
it off. It's the crafty IQ that gets it done. And I mean, that's the perfect comparison. If anyone watching this or hearing this, you guys know when Peter plays basketball, I mean, my goodness, it is different, but it gets the job done. And that's exactly what Jokic is, Peter. I want to know your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, and he's got the perfect name, nickname Joker. So, and I kind of have fun when I'm playing. So, yeah, I mean, I really, really love his game. I mean, he's averaging almost a triple double. But the other two, you can't discount them because Joel Embiid has been more dominant than he has been in other years, and really kind of been on a mission, I'd say, to make his mark. Now I think he's in his prime, and he rightfully deserves to be in this list. And I don't think it should be as wide of a margin. And then also Steph Curry, didn't make the playoffs this year. Technically, I guess they made the play-in stuff, but he's been doing Steph plus Steph squared basically, because he has basically no help. I mean, Andrew Wiggins has been kind of disappointing as a second banana. Don't know Klay Thompson. Draymond is Draymond. So it's been just Steph, and he's done everything he can. And it's been fun to watch. But I don't think it should be that far ahead, but I will say I agree that he's the favorite and he probably should win it out of everything that we've seen so far this season. He's made the most impact. I mean, Jamal Murray went down for Denver and they actually improved in record. So, I mean, they're not going to give that to Austin Rivers, basically. They're not going to give credit to him for that improvement. It's going to go to Jokic, who's their best player. And so I agree. Ryan. Who are Ryan?
Hi, Nako. Well, I mean, most valuable player, right? Value. Let's look at that word, because most and player are kind of, honestly, they're just there. The value of the player. Stephen Curry. I'll just start off shooting by the hips with this one. Stephen Curry. You take Stephen Curry off of that Warriors team, I mean, you might as well call him the Santa Cruz Warriors and the G League counterpart, because that's exactly what they are. They had no absolute reason to be in the play-in game. Stephen Curry took them there. For the longest time, for the last, 10 years, I've been a Stephen Curry hater, if you will. I've always loved what he's done on the basketball court, but I've just always rooted against him, not because of him, but because of the Warrior fans. And
the fanboys.
The fanboys. And just, I love to see them suffer, if you will. But I will not do that this year. I will root for him this year. And because of what I've seen and what I've seen him do for that team cannot be understated. He is an amazing basketball player, one of the best we've ever seen, the best shooter we've ever seen. And this year pretty much put that all on the forefront for everyone. And he showcased his talent. He deserves most valuable player. I know Vegas doesn't think so.
He didn't make the playoffs, though.
They didn't make the playoffs. They did not make the playoffs. But I think Warriors don't win 10 games without him. I said it. They don't win 10 games without him. I can say that the 76ers for sure win more than 20 games. And I can for sure say the Denver Nuggets win more than 20 games. But I'm just saying, out of just the value, and I know that this award is always given to a team that, falls with a good standing, right, in the NBA. But I think most valuable player, Curry deserves it this year, man. He's made some shots that are absolutely phenomenal. Like, I watched him live when I went to the Warrior game.
Go ahead.
And I watched him warm up. And literally, he took like 50 shots from the three-point line. It was a baseline three.
Mm-hmm.
And he made all 50 of them. But like, he was just like as nonchalant as you can be. Like just shooting at a backyard picnic. Just And it was just all going in. Like all net. And to see what he's done with that team. Come on, like look at who he's playing with. I mean, yes, Andrew Wiggins is a former number one pick, but come on. Andrew Wiggins arguably has gotten worse since he got to the NBA.
This much is true.
Kelly Oubre is more worried about his image than he is. I mean, he's pretty much Bay Area Kyle Kuzma at this point. All right.
Gotta get that fit.
Yeah, gotta get the fit right, gotta get the looks right, gotta get the likes. All right. Fair enough. James Wiseman can't stay healthy. All right. He can't stay healthy yet. I mean, he has a lot of time. So he was playing with a bunch of guys. I mean, you had Kevon Looney starting. I know. For the longest time, you had Brad Wanamaker in the shooting guard role. And you got the other guy. Oh, shoot. What's his name?
The redhead dude?
Yeah.
Nick Mannion.
Yeah, Nico Mannion. Out of Arizona Wildcats. I mean, he was a great high school player, but I mean, come on. That's who's backing up Steph. And he's still playing, night in and night out, not taking any breaks. He deserves that most valuable player of the year. But Jokic will win the award. That's point blank and period. Jokic will win the award. Joel Embiid will win the award one of these days. It's not going to be this year, but he will. Steph, obviously, he's won the award unanimously.
Mm-hmm.
But in Anaks Ryan's eyes, in my eyes, if I was the one responsible for handing out the award, I would give it to Curry. But I do agree with your point, and you have to have a good team. But I mean, just goodness, we're getting blessed with just watching Curry play.
So your heart says Curry, your head says Jokic.
Yes,
basically.
yes. Never would have thought I would say that a few years back, but and not living in the Bay Area, or living in the Bay Area, has not changed that. It's just me as a basketball connoisseur just looking at it.
Yeah,
he's amazing, man. He's absolutely amazing.
I mean, I don't blame you. I mean, he's played remarkable for the help he has. I mean, there's no spacing anymore. They're triple teaming him, basically.
I mean, like as soon as he walks past half court, you have to be guarding him like he's in the paint.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're there. But it will go to Nikola,
the Joker.
I think, is he a second round pick? He's got to be a second round pick. I want to say he was, because
he definitely wasn't hyped when he got into the league.
Yeah, he was not hyped. And he was one of those players where it's like, oh, just, another European, let's see what he does. And he's definitely flourished into a all-star, superstar that he is. All props to Nikola Jokic. all props to the unorthodox way of playing basketball, not the flashiest way, but definitely a player that you would love to have on anyone's team. So
Yeah.
enough said.
If he hit him and Julius Randle, oh
my goodness.
it's like what the Memphis Grizzlies wanted basically in the grind city.
That's grind city at its finest. That's reincarnated Marc Gasol and Zach Randolph, but just into today's NBA. I mean, you pretty much had Drew Holiday, who could have been your Tony Allen,
Your
if you
grandfather.
wanted, you know, and Lonzo Ball, if you want to compare him to a Mike Conley, I'm not sure the comparison's there, but you could see it, right? You could see it. And that's it. I mean, that's the Memphis Grizzlies 2.0 on your squad. But yeah, Nikola Jokic kind of came out of the depths of Sokovia, if you will.
Not sure that's on the map, but
it's not. Only on the Marvel universe, only on Stan Lee's universe.
I guess it's time to get to the meat of this episode, Anak. Do you want me to share my screen and we'll go over the brackets?
Yeah, music match play-esque. Let's do it.
Yeah, a little March Madness-esque.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and share. Oh, there it is.
Uh-oh. Sharing screen. Here you go.
Get there.
Don't be a little wild now.
Yeah.
We got G-rated audience.
All right. So as y'all can see, we have two brackets, one for Ryan and one for myself. We're just going to go over pretty much each matchup and then score it how we see it by the series and then see who is our finals winner. Maybe we'll make a bet. Maybe we won't.
We will make a bet, but I think the difference is off air, we would have to discuss some of the point systems because March Madness is a little bit more straightforward. They had their own point system. So
true. We'll
discuss outside of this, but it'll definitely be in the description box of what the bet is, how much the bet is, and all that is to it. But for now, we'll just give you our picks straight up.
Yep. So I guess let's just go down the row and then we'll go to the second round, third round, so on and so forth. So Knock, Utah versus Memphis, 1 versus 8 on the west side.
I'm just going to give you straight up result. Okay. We'll keep it simple, straight.
Okay. What is it?
Sweet, beautifully sweet. Utah Jazz versus the Memphis Grizzlies. Utah Jazz, Donovan Mitchell dealing with a lot of injury right now. Utah Jazz, number 1 seed, a little bit of a high expectation, but I'm going with them. 4 wins.
Okay.
And the Grizzlies will win 2 games.
All right.
So it'll be Utah in 6. That's my final answer. First round, 1 versus 8 matchup. Peter, are we switching off, or am I going through the first round? Then you'll go through the first round.
Go ahead, and I guess I'll go ahead.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
We'll switch off. Okay.
I'll agree with you that I have Utah right now. They're not playing tonight. Right now it's 1-0 Memphis, but I do have Utah coming back and winning this one. Assuming Mitchell does, come back. He's been out since April with an ankle injury. And Memphis has some nice players and whatnot with John Moran and Brooks. Shout out to him, and Jaren Jackson. But I just think the stingy D of Utah will pull it off. I think I have it. Yeah, 4-2 as well.
Okay.
With the Utah Jazz advancing. So that was simple.
Short and sweet. I like it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you got to shout out the Memphis Grizzlies because they have been a fun team to watch, kind of like a Charlotte Hornets of the West, if you will, with the John Morant and the Jaren Jackson and, Dylan Brooks, who's come into his own, a Grayson Allen, who many people either hate or love, dating back to his Duke days. Fun team to watch. Really, really fun team to watch. You got Kyle Anderson, the slow-mo. His nickname is former Spur. So really, really just weirdly built team, but they're fun to watch. Shout out Grizzlies, fun team. Not the Grizzlies of old, as we just alluded to. Different style of play for sure, but Utah Jazz got him. I'll move forward to the Clippers versus Dallas, a rematch of last year in the bubble, where the Clippers were able to win that series after Doncic kind of gave them a little bit of a run for their money. But I have the Clippers again beating the Mavericks as they did last year. I have them winning, although they lost game 1. I have them winning the series in 7 games. So I see the series taking its toll on both teams going to the final finish line, and just barely, the Clippers do just enough to beat the Dallas Mavericks with Kristaps Porzingis, with their cast of Jalen Brunson coming off the bench, Kleba, and of course Doncic. So, Peter, I want to know who you got.
Interesting. Wow, that one is going to be a great series. I mean, it was a great series last year, and this year it will be 7 games as well for me. However, stop the presses.
Ooh.
I choose the Dallas Mavericks in this one.
Okay, Mark Cuban. Okay.
So, Luka and Kawhi are going to do their thing. They're going to be the stars of the team. They're going to score their points. They're going to be good defenders. Maybe not Luka, but Kawhi will be. But they're going to do their thing. The big thing here is the others. And right now I'm specifically talking about Kristaps Porzingis and Paul George, I'd consider them the second bananas on those teams. Who's going to show up? I mean, this playoff P guy.
Pandemic
P. Exactly. Paul George has just been the butt of all jokes playoff time. And he's getting older. He's not getting any younger. So I just don't think he's going to put up the numbers that he always hypes himself up to. And I think Porzingis is going to outshine him as that second banana. And I also like the younger role players that Dallas has compared to the Clippers. The Clippers have some good role players, but I don't know. Dallas has some solid role players. You mentioned them, Kleber, Brunson. I think Boban's on that team too. So shout out to
them. Got Boban. They got Finney Smith. They got
JJ Redick is technically on the team too. I know he got.
They got JJ Redick. That's right. They have JJ Redick. They have Hardaway. They have
Hardaway.
Of talent there. I was about to say JJ Barea, but I think he's done.
Yeah, he's done on this one.
But they have definitely the players to do so, the personnel to do so. So your pick, and we both had them going 7. So pretty much a game 7's a toss up.
Mm-hmm.
And this matchup is beautiful. I love the Clippers Mavs. Rivalry is brewing.
Mini rivalry building,
yeah. I like it. And so I went first for the first 2 picks of the first round of the West. Peter, I'll let you do the first or the last 2 picks of the West first round.
Right. So we got the 2-7 Phoenix Suns versus the Los Angeles Lakers. Biggest question for me is, can LeBron and AD find their rhythm after their injury? I know you got that number 23 up in my face. And also just mention, can the Suns battle their inexperience? I think they can. So
no, they cannot.
Get that Lakers jersey out my face, because the Suns are here to shine. So we talked about the Suns with Monty Williams and Chris Paul. Chris Paul's been just a leader of men, and so long as he stays healthy, I think he's the one that keeps them steady. In this specific series, Devin Booker's a beast of a scorer, and they have a bunch of other good role players. I think as long as Chris Paul is healthy in there, I think they can do it. So I'm going to go with them in 6, 4-2.
6. Wow. So for the first time in his career, LeBron will lose in the first round of the playoffs. That is a bold statement, if you will, and that unlimited space of that board we have, Peter, of the Anaks Podcast. Write it down. All right. Write it down, Peter, that you have the Phoenix Suns. First time they've made the playoffs since we were teenagers. Beating the Lakers. First time ever LeBron's going to lose in the first round. So interesting pick that you have there. And I guarantee, I can put my life on the fact that you knew that I was picking the Lakers to go out of the first round. I mean, that's just given, right? But you alluded to the Phoenix Sun team that has been surpassing expectation. They got Chris Paul. They have a Devin Booker who is pretty much knocking on the door of being an NBA superstar for the next decade. You have Ayton, who's coming out of kind of being that first round or first pick of the draft of the Luka Trae Young draft. That's like, oh man, like, you know, what if, like, who's this guy? You know, people forget that he was the number one pick of that draft for a reason. Right. And he's a great player. He is. And me and Uncle Robert talk about this every time we play the Suns, but every time he seems to play the Lakers, he looks like the second coming of Wilt Chamberlain. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, we just can't guard him. He's an amazing center. And he can do pretty much everything you would want a center to do in today's NBA. He can stretch it a little bit or just far enough. And they have Mikal Bridges, shout out Villanova Wildcats. He is an amazing shooter. Cameron Payne, who has kind of bounced around throughout the NBA as a role player, but he always seems to get those buckets, maybe like a poor man. I mean, I'm talking very poor man's Lou Will, but at the same time, still in that same breath. But yeah, they have. I think they have Kaminsky too. I'm not sure if they have him. They have Kaminsky. So they have these guys that have kind of filled these roles throughout their careers, and now putting it together with Chris Paul, who has yet to win a championship, but has always had that leadership quality and that trait in him. We're up for it. I was waving that Lakers jersey at you, Peter, while you were saying the Suns are going to win in 6. I was flashing this at you. The realistic NBA fan in me says that Phoenix has a real shot of winning this series. In 6 even, you know.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But the biased Laker fan in me will not let me say that. And as you made some biased picks in our March Madness, as you chose LSU throughout the course of your bracket, I should say, I will not fall victim to letting my own team slide. I choose the Lakers, although I choose them in a 7-game series, a battle-fought series, a series that will push us to the brink of elimination at times. And we lost game 1, but we will certainly not lose tonight, as we are filming this pretty much about an hour till game time, till tip off of the Phoenix Suns Lakers game, game 2. We will not lose tonight, Peter, and we're going to take this series to the max. 7 games in Phoenix. We'll have to go ahead and win that game, and we will win that game, and we'll advance to the second round of the Western Conference Finals. That's my pick, Peter. 7 seed Lakers. Weird to say it, 7 seed with a LeBron team, right? But it is what it is. I'm choosing them. That's where we defer. And we've deferred 2 out of the 3 so far, so I like it. I like it. A
little different. That's good. Yeah. Well, AD is gonna have to play like he did last year, not the AD in New Orleans. So
no. Yes, and AD, someone that I did not mention in that little rant that I had, he needs to step up. He needs to step it up because we're gonna need more than 3 points, because that's just, it feels like he only scored 3 points last game. We need more. We need more from him, and he needs to dominate down low, because that's exactly what he could do. But we'll wait and see. Game time, tip off an hour away.
Oh yeah,
on TNT.
I'm sure you're excited.
I'm hyped. I'm ready, but at the same time, you know, butt's a little clenched. You know, stomach a little bit butterfly-y. I'm nervous because this is a must-win for us. This is a must-win, and you can put this on the big board as well. We need to show the viewers one day the big board of all of our write it on the board predictions, our TBHs, but put it on the big board. The winner of this game will win the series in 7.
Okay.
All right. That's it. That's
fair enough.
Fair enough.
I don't blame you. If the Pelicans were there, I'd probably pick them too. Yeah.
I think you speak for all NBA fans. I know Pelican fans for sure, but all NBA fans, as we wished the Pelicans were in the playoffs, just because of the talent they have on their team and how fun that team is to watch. But that's a moot point right now. That is really a point.
Yes. But we'll move on to the next matchup here. 3-6, Denver Nuggets versus Portland Trailblazers. They just played a game last night, so my notes need to be updated. The series is 1-1. It's a pretty even match, I'd say. So it's interesting because you have Portland, who's got all these known players and known aspects on their team, role players and star players. You know what you're going to get from them. And on this Denver side, without Jamal Murray, and just Jokic, they're kind of unknown. So I'm a little dicey with them, and I'm not liking it. Dame Time Lillard, I've always liked him in his clutch play. I just it's gonna be tough for me to put Denver over that. Michael Porter Jr., who we just talked about, is stepping up, but this is the playoffs. They're relying on you, and they're gonna be keying on you. The other team, Portland's gonna be keying on you. Can you step up? I don't know that he can this time. So I'm going to go with Portland in 6, just because I think Dame Time Lillard will be enough to push them ahead. So 4-2 in this series. We'll advance them.
Wow.
Anak. I know I chose him as MVP, but
yeah, I was about to say, I mean, you would think the MVP would get you there, but Damian Lillard, definitely someone who is an MVP candidate year in and year out of what he does. So this matchup is a juicy one, because I think if Jamal Murray was healthy, I think Nuggets would not have it easy, but it would be a little bit more easier for me to make my decision on this matchup. But I'm with you for the second time out of the 4 first base. So I got Portland Trailblazers. I got them winning. I got them winning in 6. So I got them winning in 6, as you do. And I think it's tied 1-1 at the moment. But I think right now the difference is Damian Lillard. I think the difference is having him and having CJ and having Nurkic, having a little bit watered down Melo, but it's just a little bit more experience. With Jokic, he was in his post-game conference interview yesterday, he was just discussing how different this team is compared to the team in the bubble. With the bubble, they had a little bit of a more deepened relationship. Those are players that they've played with for a longer stint and have gotten that chemistry up. But now you add guys like, Austin Rivers, you add guys like Aaron Gordon, new players to the mix who are still great assets, but at the same time, they haven't had enough time to gel with that new team. So that's why I think the Portland Trailblazers, they're a little bit more in sync. I mean, this Portland Trailblazers team, although I say it all the time, I mean, I think Damian Lillard should leave because he's never going to win anything with these Blazers, but at the same time, he's still going to make noise in the playoffs just because of the chemistry that this team has together. With Enes Kanter finally back in the mix too. I mean, this is a good team, and I have them moving on. So the 2 lower seeds in that section of the West bracket for me are going to move on. And then Peter, you had Phoenix, the 2 seed, beating my Lakers, and you had Portland moving on against Denver. Of course, different story if Jamal Murray is added into the mix, but we're all hoping he has a quick and speedy recovery, because that was a gruesome injury, but it's going to be still a good series.
Oh yeah, man. It's going to be interesting. Portland's got a bunch of seasoned vets, and they feel like they underachieve each year. I don't know what it is. They were middling out, something about it. But yeah, we both got them. So it'll be fun to watch, see if any of that comes true. So I guess we'll move to the beast of the East from the other side of the West on a quest to be the best. Who do you got?
So with the Sixers and the Wizards, the Wizards have been a fun team to watch. Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal, Hachimura, young Hachimura. But I mean, the Sixers this year deserve to be that number 1 seed. They've been really, really solid. I mean, I'm not turning the channel to them every time they're on, but I think with Ben Simmons and Embiid, for the longest time, it's always been, what if they're healthy? They're finally been pretty healthy this whole year. We've seen what they can do. They've added Tobias Harris for a long-term deal, so he's here to stay. They added Seth Curry, which I think was a really good addition, along with Dwight Howard. They have a really solid complementary cast. They're going to win this series in 5. Sixers in 5. It's pretty much a consensus pick, I think, with a lot of the top analysts there. So that's also my pick. I think Wizards win 1 game. It's great to see them do what they did in the play-in series, but Sixers are just, I mean, they're well matched against this team.
Yeah. Just to keep it quick, yeah. I mean, I pretty much agree with you. I think they're going to get it done 5. Just a quick word on the 76ers is, yeah, they just seem focused this year more so than ever. I don't know if that's Doc Rivers. I don't know if that's Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid tired of losing. Whatever it is, they seem to be on a mission. Will they go all the way? We'll see. We'll mention
see.
that in a minute. But yeah, they just seem focused. Shout out to the Wizards. Like you said, they're fun to watch. Russell Westbrook always putting the effort in. And another triple-double year. I mean, shoot, I don't think that's easy to do, no matter if you're stat something or not. So
when you're on a list and the list is just you and Oscar, I mean, yeah, I mean that speaks magnitude of what you're doing on the basketball court. So again, people like to call him a stat stuffer and all he cares about is stats. But no, I think that, I mean, the reason why him and Oscar are two of the only players to be on a certain list, it speaks for itself. It speaks for itself. So
yeah,
that's that pick. We'll hop into the 4-5 matchup, and I'll start us off again, and you'll start us off with the second two matchups of the East. But I'll say this is going to be the best series of the first round.
Okay.
This one right here. And it's not two names that are, I mean, you could say Atlanta's been here, the team-wise, but not this specific team. I mean, you dated back to the Millsaps and Horford Hawks with the
even
Jeff
Joe Johnson,
Big Five, Kyle Korver, all those. I mean, this is a new Hawks team. This is a new Hawks regime. And the New York Knicks, same can be said for them. And this is just two entirely new teams with, I would say, franchises that are respected. I mean, Knicks, I mean, it's just collectively, they're such a big name. I mean, playing in Madison Square Garden, and as the Hawks, it's a marquee matchup, I say. And Trae Young, Julius Randle, those two names excite me as an NBA fan for years to come. It's going to be like, okay, like, can this be a rivalry brewing? We saw it in this last game where the whole MSG fan base was pretty much yelling, F Trae Young, F Trae Young, F Trae Young. Trae Young hits that game-winning floater, and he looks at the crowd and says, it's quiet as fuck in here. And I mean, that just gets all NBA fans just, oh yeah, that gets the juices flowing. And I think from the get-go, this is just a perfect matchup. Young teams going at it, and it's going to be a fun matchup. I'll get to the winner right now. I have Atlanta winning in 7.
Oh dear, oh my, oh goodness me.
Slimmest of margins. Spike Lee, don't kill me. But your team will be here for years to come. Atlanta Hawks, Trae Young, and John Collins, and Herter, and Bogdanovich. So many other players, but those players that I just mentioned, those will be the difference makers right there. I have the Hawks barely winning it in 7. What about you, Peter?
Yeah, this is an interesting matchup for sure. I do like that these two kind of new teams, so to speak, are getting their feet wet against each other. So it makes for a compelling matchup. I think this comes up to whether the stars come out and play. Does Trae Young or Julius Randle come out and actually play like they've been playing, and like we know they're capable of? Because in the playoffs, you either show up or you don't. You either elevate your game or you kind of choke it out. And I think in this series, Trae Young will do that more so than Julius Randle. And I have it, Atlanta Hawks in 6. Now, so not quite the tip as you. Yeah. I just think the Atlanta Hawks, I think Trae Young's just capable a little bit more of clutch play. I know I've been hyping up Julius Randle, but I just think maybe another year of seasoning will do it for him. But I got the Hawks as well.
I like that.
So we're tied on that one.
Peter, I started the first 2 in the East. I'll let you do the last 2 matchups first.
Yeah. So
go ahead. Brooklyn Nets, Boston. They're going right now, actually.
Yeah. Oh, and it's an absolute blow.
Yeah.
At this
Forget
point,
about it.
33-point game. So they should be up 2-0, the Brooklyn Nets. Yeah, the thing is here, Boston has the talent to make this a series. We all know the talent with Tatum, with Kemba, with Brown, with Smart. And they're just so disappointing this year. And they've been disappointing, the past few years in their finishes. and I've said this time and time again, I just think Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who are, I guess, they're pseudo star players, they have too similar of a game for them to ever thrive. And this is just proving my point. And this year, their defense has just been struggling so much. We all know what Brooklyn has. They have Kyrie, Harden, Durant, an old Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, Joe Harris. So, I mean, they should be able to take care of business. I'll keep it short and sweet. I'm just disappointed in this series that the Boston Celtics looking like a shell of themselves, basically. Ryan, do you agree?
I mean, yes. I mean, you could pretty much just word for word put what you put for me, or for you, what you put or what you said. I can say it's just Brooklyn Nets. Come on. I mean, pencil them in. Too much firepower. Jaylen Brown injury hurts them so much. Jason Tatum has been so fun to watch. But you see what shirt I'm wearing. You see what jersey's behind me. You could never see me in the light of day or the night of night talk highly about a Celtics team. So I'll leave it at that. Brooklyn Nets, no bias. It's just they're too good. They're too good. Too much firepower there. I have them winning, though, in 4-1 against Boston. So I think Boston will get one. I think Boston, and obviously that one is not going to come tonight because they're down 50 right now.
Yeah, it's getting embarrassing. Oh,
yeah. So they'll take one at the TD Garden. They'll take one. Yeah. And then Brooklyn will come home to Barclays and finish them off, if you will. Finish the misery.
Gentleman's sweep.
Gentleman's sweep. Nice little gentleman's sweep. 4-1.
Yeah. So get to the 3-6. What was this? Milwaukee Bucks versus Miami Heat. This is a rematch of last year. Right now it's 2-0 Milwaukee. And last night is the second game, and it was an absolute spanking by the Bucks.
Tough.
And I think that's just pretty much a foreshadowing of what's to come in that series. I mean, Miami, their Cinderella magic, I think has come to an end. They have a gritty team. Jimmy Butler, we know he's a gritty. They've got some nice young players, Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, Kendrick Nunn, some nice players. But Milwaukee, they too, just like the 76ers, seem to be a little bit more focused this year, at least coming into the playoffs. Maybe that's because they came into the bubble last year, but specifically at this time, coming from regular season to the postseason, they seem more focused and ready to go. They shouldn't lose this one. And I'm going to go with a sweep.
Oh my goodness. Spoelstra not even getting a single dub out of it.
So the people I've been hyping up have been losing in the playoffs.
Hey, that's fine. Well, I mean, 1 year is not enough of a sample size, Peter, for our overall opinion. So it's fair. It's fair. And what he did last year is more significant because no one was expecting Miami to win it to win the East last year. I can tell you that. Nobody was.
Hell nah. Do you have the same?
Yeah, I have Milwaukee also, as you do. Instead of a full-on sweep, I'll have them as a gentleman's sweep. They're just, Milwaukee, that game yesterday, they put up like 46 points or something like that in the first quarter. They were leading in the first quarter by 26 points. So that was I think, tied for the largest lead in the first quarter in playoff history. So they were up 26, which is, shoot, I'll be happy if my team scores 26 in the first quarter. Milwaukee was up by 26. So if that tells you a little bit about how that game went. Yeah, Milwaukee was just on a mission yesterday. And I think up 2-0 in this type of scenario is different because they lost to Miami last year. They have that chip on their shoulder. So Milwaukee's going to win this one 4-1. I think Miami will win one though in Miami. Okay. And then they'll come back, as did Brooklyn. Just nice little gentleman sweep on to the next round, second round, conference semifinals. So there we have it. First round done.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I like it. Do you want to transition us to the second round?
Yeah, we'll start off back in the West Coast. We'll start off with the first matchup, Utah Jazz, the 1 seed that I had against the Clippers, the number 4 seed. I'll keep it short and sweet. I had Clippers.
Oh,
I think that they match up a little bit better against the Jazz than they do against the Mavs.
Oh my.
I don't want to break it down because I don't feel like it, but that's just what I have. I have the Clippers winning in 6. So they're winning 4-2 against the Jazz. I think that they just do a little bit of a better job in containing Mitchell than they do against Luka. Luka just offers a little bit more. He has a little bit more of in his collection offensively to give Clippers a harder time than Donovan does. And with that being said, I think it's just the better matchup in this series. Clippers in 6. Peter, what about you? You had Utah and you had Dallas, though. You had Dallas in the
Interesting. Yeah, that'll be fun to watch if that's what we get. I have in mind, which is Utah versus Dallas. I have the Jazz taking notes to the conference finals.
Okay, Mr. Punny Man over here.
Yeah.
Taking notes, huh?
Oh yeah, here it is. And I have them in 7. This is going to be a doozy of a series if we get it.
Yeah, it's absolutely going to be a many series for sure if that goes the distance.
Whew. Let me see what I have written down. I actually do have, this is going to be a doozy of a series. I can just see Mitchell and Doncic dueling it out, similar to how Mitchell and Murray dueled it out last year. Porzingis and Gobert are going to be great. That would be awesome. I think they're just two evenly matched teams in this case, and I think Utah's defense is just a little more stingier than Dallas, and I think that will put them over the edge. So
Fair enough. I can't hate on that.
We'll move on to the next matchup. I'll start this time. So I have the Phoenix Suns and Portland Trail Blazers in the West. In this one, I got the Phoenix Suns.
Oh my goodness, Monty.
Suns.
Don't you do it, Monty.
I'm doing it hard. Again, I have on the page another doozy. Paul versus Lillard. I mean, McCollum versus Booker. Ayton versus Nurkic. You know, this is going to be a fun one to see. Some veteran team versus kind of somewhat young, other than Chris Paul.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is going to be DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah.
I would say he's the third banana on the
X factor, if you will.
Yeah. If he shows up with the talent that we all know he can play with, I think they push it over, and I think that's going to happen. So I'm going to advance them in 6 games, 4-2. You have a different matchup.
I do have
winning that.
Yeah. So with my matchup, I do got Portland in that. That's where the only thing the same is about ours and mine and yours. But I have my Lakers against Portland, a rematch of last year's first round in the bubble, where Lillard gave us a little bit of a scare as he was playing lights out at the time, Game 1. So I got us winning 4-1, Lakers in 5. Portland, yes, they're going to win 1, but it's not going to be game 1. It's not going to be game 2. It's not going to be game 3. They'll win game 4 on the back of elimination. But we're going to bring too much to the table that we didn't have last year. Last year, I think Blazers matched up with us a little bit better, but I think this year we match up a little bit better against them. Of course, I mentioned it. We barely scraped it out against the Suns, but I think the second round matchup is a little bit more favorable. I mean, in my opinion, I think the Phoenix Suns matchup is a little bit favorable as well. But I mean, something about Chris Paul led teams, they never just bend over backwards. You know, they're always going to give it their all to the brink of elimination. He's going to show that leadership. So that's why I think that first round is going to cause a little bit more of a concern than that second round is against Portland, how I see it. So I got us winning in 5. Lakers, Clippers, LA matchup. Who's coming out of the West? Who's coming out of LA? That's who I got.
Oh my word. That's what they wanted last year.
That's what everybody wanted last year. Exactly right. Unfortunately, Steve Ballmer couldn't hold his end of the bargain, you know, and Doc Rivers couldn't. But now we have Ty Lue, so we'll see if he can hold his end of the bargain.
Yeah. I bought high on them last year, not this year. But interesting. Yeah. No, I mean, I guess it certainly could happen. There's no denying. LeBron James and then Anthony Davis healthy on your team. Certainly anything can happen. Guess we'll move to the East. I think we have the exact same. So let's see. For me, I've got in this matchup in the 1-5, Philadelphia versus Atlanta. I think this is going to be a sweep.
Ooh, bring out the broom.
Point blank, period. The Sixers
out
are
the
going
broom.
to sweep them. I think they're just overmatched, the Hawks in this one. I mean, they made a good series versus the Knicks because they're both good, young, exciting teams. But I just think the Sixers are on a mission, and they're not going to lose focus on this one. I think they're going to be able to handle their own, use their experience against Atlanta, and just punish them.
So sweet though. You bringing up the broom second round. I mean, so you've brought out 2 brooms so far. I haven't brought out a broom yet. Will it be now? No, it would not be. 76ers are a class above the Hawks. I think that it's going to be a pretty straightforward series. There will be no times where the Sixer fans or the Sixers in itself would be fearful of the Hawks taking this series. I think they'll get a gentleman's sweep. Okay. I think Trae Young and his band will do just enough to win one game, but not pose enough of a threat to challenge them for the series. 76ers with Ben Simmons, I think if Ben Simmons is matched up against Trae Young is going to have a very difficult time scoring. I mean, as we mentioned, Ben Simmons, Defensive Player of the Year candidate, one of the best perimeter defenders that this league has at the guard position. And he can just absolute lockdown players. And then if you have Joel Embiid versus John Collins, that'd be a fun matchup to watch. Really, it will be. That would be a treat. But I think Tobias Harris is that X factor in this series against the Hawks, where he can kind of pretty much do what Herter and Bogdanovich does for the Hawks, but at a little bit of a more efficient clip. So 76ers, and I think they're coached better and they have a little bit more experience under their belt. So Sixers in 5 for me. Okay. So we both have the Sixers moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Okay, I feel that.
But we have totally different Western Conference Finals, so that adds to the intrigue.
Yeah. We'll add up. We'll tally them up in a minute or after the call. But so we'll move on now to this other East matchup that we have. We both have Brooklyn and Milwaukee 2-3. I'll go ahead and go on this one. We'll be blessed to have this matchup. This is a hell of a matchup. My word.
Oh my goodness. My goodness. Yes, we will be.
This is a very even, talent-wise, top-heavy. I think the big thing here is Brook Lopez from Milwaukee. We all know that he's capable of scoring and being a solid big man. He has to show up for them to win this series. Yeah. He has to show up and be, about 15 to 20 points a game and be a solid defender for them to win this series. Do I think that's going to happen? I don't. Not enough, at least, because I have the Brooklyn Nets going in 7. Because the biggest thing, they have right now, I think the Nets have Blake Griffin essentially playing center with DeAndre Jordan kind of coming off the bench. Yeah. So, you can exploit them down low. Obviously, you have to stop Durant, Harden, and Kyrie Irving, but, there's some vulnerabilities to them that you can take advantage of. Milwaukee has yet to do that in the playoffs so far in their years with this team. So I just think that's going to be a continuing trend. Though I do like PJ Tucker and Drew Holiday's addition to their team. I think, like Charles Barkley said this yesterday, they're a much better playoff team with those two. Right. So I just don't think they can beat Brooklyn. There just is a tough matchup to have in the second round for them. What do you think?
Excellent take on that. And as you said, Peter, this will be a series that we will all be licking our chops if it happened. And as an NBA fan, we've gotten to see these two teams meet in the regular season this year, and those games have been absolutely edge of our seat type of basketball. And Milwaukee has firepower. Brooklyn has firepower. Both teams has firepower. Mike Budenholzer, who I think is also a phenomenal coach, shout out him. He leads those Bucks really, really well. Steve Nash, I've loved him as a player throughout his whole career, and he's done, I would say, a decent job so far with that Brooklyn Nets team. because it's so tough to manage all of those egos and
Right.
all of that talent. Really, it is. And I think this will go 7. The series will go 7, as you did, Peter. But the team I have coming out is the same team you had coming out. I have Brooklyn Nets. I mean, this is going to be a series that is going to be filled with close contest games, last minute remaining possession games, 1 possession games. But at the same time, it will also be games that are going to be blowouts. I see that some of these games, like maybe 2 or 3 of these games being blowouts, and then the other 3 to 4 games being absolute nail biters of a series. So it's going to be having a little bit of an inconsistent flow, which is expected out of a very, very high, hyped up series.
Yeah. Caliber teams.
2 high caliber teams. I mean, one of those days, Brooklyn is just going to be lights out, as we expect them to be. And then 2 of those games, Milwaukee's going to be absolutely on point on defense, and then just hitting their threes as they were yesterday,
right,
against the Wizards. So Brooklyn, just too much. I mean, you tell me that Kyrie, Harden, Durant, Blake, you got DeAndre Jordan, you have Claxton, you have Joe Harris, who never misses an open 3. You have Luwawu Cabarrot, you have Bruce Brown, you have, players that can just do exactly what is necessary. They're primed. And this will lead them into a conference finals date. Doc Rivers, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid. Man, this would be also a good one. So we'll continue on to the conference finals. But any last comments of that round, conference semifinals?
God, we would be in for a treat for any of those games. I mean, we have I have a couple 7-game series. That's your only 7-game series. I mean, that one is, I definitely would want to see that one. I would definitely pay to see that matchup. I mean, Brooklyn Nets have been the ones everyone's been hyping up about this year because of it. They've added the world. So, I want to see it happen. So we'll move on. I guess I'll let you go ahead with your LA matchup.
All right. Battle of the City of Angels, battle of the Western Conference, and a rightful place in the 2021 NBA Finals. We have the Clippers versus the Lakers, the little bros versus the big bros. We have Kawhi, Paul George. We have, the list goes on. We have, I think DeMarcus Cousins now is on their team for some reason, some shape or form. We got players of the caliber of the hated Patrick Beverly
Rondo
on their team. We have Nick Batum, who has traveled, throughout the whole NBA landscape and now has found his role here. We have a young Luke Kennard, who is someone that I've always liked since his Duke days. We have Zubac, who was a former Laker. So we got a cast of talent on the Clippers side, the little bro side. But on our side, we have LeBron, AD, who can't be understated. We have Caruso, Kuzma, Schroeder, Harrell. We got guys that we've added. We've had Macklemore, who hasn't really been playing, but I think he will have a pivotal role in this matchup if we do see the Clippers. Horton, Tucker. Just the list goes on, Morris, the list goes on. So this is just going to be a collection of just talent on the basketball court, but at the same time, a chance for the Clippers to finally dethrone us, not only from our championship that we had won a year before, but just to finally say, we're here. This is us. Acknowledge us. We play in the same stadium, yet we cover the banners with posters of our team. It's our time. All right. Steve Ballmer is going to be on the edge of his seat, as he always is throughout the entire course of this series. The outcome of this series will be the Lakers in 6. All right. No bias. I know you're shocked, Peter, that I chose us. Shit. God forbid I chose the Clippers, right? But I have the Lakers in 6. But the difference is, and I had Brooklyn versus Milwaukee as, the amazing series that goes 7, but I let you guys know there will be some blowouts here and there. There will be not any blowouts in this series. This will be all competitively played games, rivalry-esque games. Lakers as a 7 seed. Come on now, 7 seed. Taking down the Clippers. Sorry, Clippers. I mean, they're kind of like the Boston Celtics to me. I mean, you would have bet your whole life savings that I would have picked the Lakers, and I know you would have, and I know everybody
Probably, but you had me going there for a minute that you're about to choose the Clippers.
Yeah, I had to lead them on just a little bit, but I have the Lakers winning and going to the finals to try to defend their crown and try to go back to back.
They try to do the Houston Rockets. Don't underestimate the heart of a champion.
Yes, don't underestimate us, the Houston Rockets. I mean, Michael Jordan was golfing and playing baseball at the time, but don't underestimate us, all right? But your conference finals on the West differs, and it differs
very
completely.
much so. Yeah,
It differs entirely from it.
Yeah,
And you had Utah Jazz and Phoenix Suns. So yours is chalk on paper. So you had the 1 and 2, right?
Yeah,
So on paper, that's chalk.
Yeah.
But I think most NBA fans would obviously have my Clippers and Lakers as their pick. So I want to know from your perspective, Peter, conference finals, why and who is coming out of there?
I think this is a series. If we do get it, who's ready to make their mark? We all saw what Shaq said straight to Donovan Mitchell's face. I mean, I guess through Zoom, whatever. But he doesn't believe he's a player of that caliber.
No,
a D-Wade player, superstar player that can truly lead a team to a championship. And Donovan Mitchell, I mean, I don't know how you would respond to that. Just probably reacted like we all would, like, okay, sure, yeah.
I've been doubted my whole life. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, is he ready to step up? And then on the other side, there's the Suns. We all know Chris Paul, leader man. We keep saying that. Devin Booker, is he ready to take that leap? DeAndre Ayton, I just talked about him in the previous series for me. Is he ready to make that leap? I don't think they are.
Ooh.
I think Donovan Mitchell is in this go around. But it will be a great, great series. I have it. 4-3. Utah Jazz. I think the biggest thing is we talked about them too for that boring award, the Gobert Award. The defense, the stifling tower is just too strong against especially a team like the Suns where DeAndre Ayton doesn't have that experience in the playoffs and is still kind of learning how to win and how to put up the numbers in the playoffs. So I think that's going to play a factor. It'll be interesting. I don't know if we're going to get this series. They obviously, like you were saying, this is 1-2 on my side. It's kind of basic. Maybe on the East is a little bit more predictable, but on the West, these two teams are a little unknown. But I'm confident that they will get there and we'll get an amazing series like I just mentioned. So that's my thoughts on my West. Thoughts on your East that I think we share.
I don't doubt that. And I'll just speak very, very briefly on your side of the bracket. So for those of you who don't know, Donovan Mitchell is actually my favorite player in the NBA right now, like hands down. And I just love his approach. And he wasn't drafted in the top 10. He was kind of counted out. He went to Louisville for the college. And I mean, he wasn't ever really that number one guy. Everyone's always doubted, and I'm glad you brought that Shaq interaction to the forefront because, that was really, I mean, Shaq, he loves to joke around. He loves to be Shaq, right? He has his own personality. Shout out Tigers, go Tigers. But, he brought it up and Donovan Mitchell just handled it like, I mean, everyone's been doubting me my whole life, so he always has that chip on his shoulder. And I've always appreciated the way he's played. And he's not the most athletic player in the league. He's not the best shooter in the league. He's not the smartest player in the league as far as IQ is concerned, but he always seems to make the right play. Every time he never really makes any rash decisions or dumb plays. When I'm watching him, I'm just like, that's someone who I would want on my team. And I've always loved how he played ever since he came to the league. I remember he had a summer league performance against the Lakers where he was just going lights out. I mean, he killed us. And that was the same year Lonzo Ball was a freshman or a rookie. So I remember that year vividly because he was just going off. Or I think it was a preseason game, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, I've always loved watching him play. And I think he is the face of that Utah Jazz franchise. And they're going to be here for a very, very long time. So I'm glad that we kind of had differentiating choices, because obviously mine's a little bit of a hometown bias, if you will, in my picks. But great takes on that. And Phoenix Suns and Utah Jazz, they're going to be around for a while. Yeah. They're going to be around for a while for sure. So I'm glad you picked them. I'm glad you picked them 1-2 matchup. But yeah, moving forward to the East, I'll start off first with this Philly and Brooklyn matchup, as we both had them both in the conference finals. So let me get my cheat sheet here and just verify, because it's as toss-up as it gets. Or maybe it's not. I have Brooklyn winning in 5, 4 games to 1. We've talked a lot of hype about how Doc Rivers got these boys ready. Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, they're all ready to go. But Brooklyn is just going to catch absolute fire here and reach and surpass expectations. I mean, I don't know how you can surpass expectations with a star-studded roster that they have, but they will. Durant, Kyrie, Harden, I mean, all three of them can average 100 points combined every game. And you're asking maybe Harris to put in 15 and the rest of that cast putting 20. You're scoring 135 a game. I don't understand how you can lose a series of a best of 7. I don't care who you're playing against. I said it. I don't care who you're playing against. I got Brooklyn going to the NBA Finals to face. I'm not going to say to face yet. I'll let you go, but that's who I got.
Okay. Well, you are absolutely right about one thing. This is going to be a banger of a series, an absolute slapper. Like I said earlier, Beast of the East, again, from the other side of the West. On the West will be the best.
Yes.
This one, man, this one's going to be tough. Joel Embiid, must-watch TV right now because of his dominant, starting to becoming a dominant nature. Ben Simmons is going to need to step up, though.
He does. Yep.
He has been kind of disappointing, especially this season. I think people were kind of starting to doubt him and his ability to take that next leap. I mean, where's the jumper? Where's the other parts of your game, my man? Now, give him credit. He's got the Defensive Player of the Year nominee, so I guess he is stepping up some way or another. But I mean, he's going to be the X factor. I mean, Tobias Harris has been pretty steady as their third banana. But Ben Simmons needs to step up. He needs to be on par with one of Kyrie, Harden, or Durant, because we all know what Harden is the only one that hasn't had a championship, but he's been far as a star player, and the other two have been far as star players and have won it. So Ben Simmons needs to be at their level, and I don't think that's going to happen, at least not enough. I think it's still going to be a great series, but it's going to be 4-2. Brooklyn Nets.
I like it.
Yeah.
That's a fair assessment, Peter. Milwaukee, not Milwaukee, Philly. Ben Simmons, if he can only hit a jump shot, that's the only thing that I think is missing out of this series. I mean, if he can hit a consistent jump shot, not even a 3-pointer, like here and there, maybe a 3, but a consistent jump shot, it would make
just take it, dude. At least take some.
At least take it, right? Because the defense knows they're gonna allow their defensive setup to be in a way that they know he's not going to shoot. So that takes away a certain portion of that court. It's unfortunate, but I'm glad we at least agreed that the Brooklyn Nets, as easy as a choice that most NBA fans, casual fans, would make, Brooklyn Nets, of course, with those 3 players alone, you should make the finals by default. I'm glad we got to add a little bit of context behind that and really said why. So we got Brooklyn representing, both of us, the East.
The Beast of the East.
Beast of the East. So I'll flip this again on you, Peter, because I kind of went first for some of those ones. So I'll let you go first for the finals. We'll finalize this with who's going to win the Larry O'Brien in 2021. Utah Jazz you had representing the West, and the Brooklyn Nets representing the East in a 1-2 2 seed action. So the 2 seed out of the East and the 1 seed out of the West. Who you got?
So I guess I jumped ahead. I have the one about Shaq's words here. And I guess it'll come up again. Can Donovan Mitchell step up his game to be that player that we all think he might be able? He's got it in him, but he's got to produce it.
Yeah.
That's one of the big questions. Will, Utah's depth be able to pay off, compared to, I feel like their depth is much better than Brooklyn. I know you mentioned a lot of Brooklyn's players and they fit the roles, but I think Utah, they're like a well-oiled machine in terms of all their other role players. So we mentioned, they have a 6th and 7th man of the year basically awarded. They might as well have just done a co-6 man of the year. I don't know why they couldn't have done that, but that's going to be the biggest question. And experience plays a factor. Obviously, we just said Kyrie, Harden, Durant have all been there deep. Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan have been deep in the playoffs as well. It's going to be tough. I just think the Nets have more firepower than the Utah Jazz in this one. And there's nothing against Donovan Mitchell. I think he's going to play his heart out, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. There's going to be some games where they'll be able to stop them, but some games they won't. And I think this one's a pretty cookie cutter 4-2. So Brooklyn in 6. Yeah.
Brooklyn in 6. Basic as you get. Oh my goodness. Brooklyn Nets. They are the favorite in Vegas's eyes to win it this year. And you picked them. Utah Jazz's demise though, but Brooklyn Nets, I mean, come on now. If the life depended on it, Brooklyn Nets probably would be the smart decision, right? But then again, I'm wearing a shirt that's purple and gold. Right behind me is a jersey that's banana yellow and purple. But let me speak to this without bias. I'll go non-biased for my pick. Peter, you picked Brooklyn Nets. You put 2021 NBA champ right next to it. 4-2 over the Jazz. I have the Lakers repeating. Oh, shocker. I know. And going back to back, beating the Brooklyn Nets 4-2. So Lakers in 6. I know it's shocking everyone right now that I'm making that decision. But this series will be a good series. Lakers won in 6 last year against the Heat. Lakers will win in a similar fashion this year against the Nets, where they will get off to a really, really good start. And the Nets will give them some run for their money. But I think LeBron will contain Durant. I think, and a lot of people will laugh, but I think Caruso will not contain Kyrie, but just do enough against Kyrie. Harden will get his own. I mean, Harden always gets his own, but I think we'll do just enough. And it's going to be surprisingly a low-scoring series. So I think Brooklyn will not be able to, just do whatever they want on offense against us, because the Lakers are the number 1 defensive team when we're healthy in the league. Brooklyn Nets obviously number 1 offensive team in the league. Clash of two things. We've talked a lot of slander on defense this year, but wouldn't you know it? The Lakers are the reason why they're going to win, or the defense is going to be the reason why the Lakers win and go back to back and defend their throne. I know. I'm sorry, Peter. You knew I was going here and I went there.
You just don't want to ruin your street cred by going against your team. I get it. I don't know if I could say this. I think if the Pelicans were in here as a 7th seed like that, I probably wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, right? That's fair. I mean, I know you didn't pick LSU to just run table in March Madness, right? But with LeBron and AD, it would be, and Vegas still thinks that, or prior to I don't know how the odds have shifted since the Lakers lost game 1 to the Suns, but I know that even going into the playoffs, Lakers as a 7 seed, they were still a top 3 favorite in Vegas's eyes of winning the championship. So if that's not saying something, what is? Because at the end of the day, they're building more casinos in Vegas than they're closing down, even through a pandemic. So that's ought to say something. Vegas knows. Vegas knows.
True. I mean, I don't deny, like I said this earlier, if you have LeBron and AD on a basketball court for your team and they're healthy, there's no reason why they shouldn't be contending. So
No reason. That's
it.
it. We went through the whole bracket.
Yeah. Oh man. Wow. Yeah. So what do you want to wager, Anak? We'll figure out the points.
Yeah.
And whatnot,
We'll figure out the point system, but
$100 Roonies. You want to challenge? I like your bracket. I like mine.
I mean, I like yours too, but I mean, we follow the same with Brooklyn, right? So what I'm noticing here, Brooklyn obviously going through for both. But you have the Suns beating the Lakers, so that's different, obviously. Let me see. You got.
I was thinking just doing points, as in like if you get the series right, you get 1. If you don't,
Similarly to March Madness. Why not? Right?
Yeah.
Why not?
Just as simple as it can get.
So let's do that. And then, for instance, if Brooklyn wins it all, as you have it, we should allocate a certain amount of points.
If you get the champ right, you get to a little like 5 extra points or something.
5 extra points. Okay. That's fair. I mean, pretty much if you get the championship right, you win.
Yeah. Do you want to make it 3 so it's a little bit more interesting?
Yeah, let's do
3. So
let's do 3.
Maybe it's a 2-point deficit, and then
that's
bam,
fine. Bam.
Right.
It'll fall. Like if we were so lucky to get Lakers Brooklyn, then it's a 2 difference because you didn't.
That's true.
Lakers. Yeah, so then that would obviously add some context. So yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
So 1 point for if you get a matchup right, and then 3 points if you get the champ.
Yeah, and bragging rights, of course, as always. Right? But something we've missed though, and I'm glad we went through our whole NBA podcast recap, AYUNNN moments. We recapped finalists of awards. We went through the whole bracket. The fantasy basketball, it was a mess, right? It was a mess. I mean, we had 4 players for all of you that didn't know, and for all of you that didn't sign up. So we really couldn't do much with that, but we're excited about the football fantasy coming back in a couple months.
Got a lot of cool things coming up, hopefully content-wise. And here's the bracket one last time, just before I stop sharing. Really fun to do this, Anak. Always fun to diversify our content a little bit. There's not just the golf channel. I know y'all love the golf stories, but
they do. And we do. Yeah. We all love it.
Expressing myself in other avenues. So I know Ryan and I have talked about putting other stuff out. So keep an eye on that and keep an eye and ear on it, Yeah.
But thank you again. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Again, I hope y'all didn't skip, but if you did and you made it this far, we appreciate you very, very much. Peter and myself, the Anaks Podcast community, the Anaks channel in itself, everyone involved in this thing. We appreciate you, and we're excited to see how this bracket turns out. So without further ado, we wish you guys a very safe and fun couple of weeks until we see you guys again. This has been my pleasure. Peter, again, always a pleasure hopping a podcast with you.
Oh, yes, Anak. Pleasure as always. Hope y'all are well. Y'all be good. Thank you for watching.
All right. Bye, y'all. We love you, Christian.